Hello there, welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Samantha and this is my channel where I talk all about books. Anyway, today I'm coming to you with my July wrap-up and my August TBR. I actually cannot believe that it's August, and I feel like I often say this. I'm always like, I can't believe how late into the year we are, but genuinely, where the hell did July go? I swear I blinked and it was over. But yeah, it's August, so I have to talk about the books that I read last month and the books that I'm planning to read this month. I don't typically do TBRs, I do them occasionally, but it's mainly if I'm taking part in a readathon, which I am, so I'll talk about that after I talk about all of the books that I read in July. In July, I actually had a really good reading month. I read 7 books, which obviously isn't the highest number ever. I think I read more books in June than I did in July. I think I read 9 books in June. That's not my best reading month ever or anything, but I think I enjoyed the books that I read a lot more than any other month this year. I've had a really average reading year, which I think is why I needed a break from booktube, because every book I read was like a 3-star read, and then I had to talk about it and I was like, I don't want to talk about this book. I feel nothing about this book. On the bright side, I haven't had any books that I've truly hated yet, but yeah, I just haven't been feeling super passionate about any of the books I read because they're all just fine. But in July, I had a lot of 4-star reads. I had some 5-star reads. We just had a good time in July. I did also take part in one readathon in July, which was the Tarot Readathon, which was hosted by Noelle, Daijah, Brittany, and Jess. Yes, those are the 4 hosts. So I'll link all of their channels down below. It was a really fun readathon where basically you chose a team and then you drew tarot cards. Each card had its own prompt, and then as you read the books and completed the prompts, you put in points, and it was like a team-based readathon. It was really fun. I didn't read as many books as I had hoped to read for that. I kind of let the team down a little bit, but I did read 3 books for the readathon, and I'll go over what challenges they were for when I talk about them. But for now, let's just talk about the books that I read. So the first book that I read in the month was Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Melinda Lowe. I had seen this book all over the place and the cover looked stunning. I'd heard nothing but glowing reviews, so I saw that my library had it and I was like, let me borrow this book because it sounded so good. Unfortunately, I didn't love it as much as I thought I would, but it's fine. If you don't know what this book is about, this is a YA historical fiction set in San Francisco in the 50s, and it follows our main character Lily as she is going to school and she meets this girl, and this girl, whose name I've forgotten, shows her this place called the Telegraph Club, which is basically a place where women perform as men. So Lily starts going there with her friend, and then she starts to kind of figures some things out about herself, and she's like, maybe this girl is more than a friend. So the book deals a lot with what it was like to be gay at that time in San Francisco, and it also covers the Red Scare, which was happening at the time, because Lily is Chinese American, and so it talks a lot about what was going on then, the treatment of Chinese people in America. And I wish there had been a bit more of that. It was barely mentioned, and that was something that I thought was really interesting and I wanted to learn more about. And obviously I can go and do my own research on it, and I plan to, but I thought that was gonna be more of a focus than it was. And also I feel like a lot of the conflict in this book happened in the last 50 pages, so the other 350 pages were just kind of a lot of the same thing, and so I didn't find the book super interesting. Unfortunately, I was kind of bored a lot of the time, which is why I ended up giving this book a 3 out of 5 stars. I still think it was good, it was just not my personal cup of tea. The next book that I read was Heartstopper Volume 2 by Alice Oseman. I got this book from the library. If you don't know what this book is somehow, Heartstopper is a graphic novel series following our 2 main characters, Nick and Charlie. Nick and Charlie are in different grades at school. Nick is 1 year older than Charlie, but they end up in the same forum group. I guess it's homeroom sort of vibe for my pals from the United States. It's not important. The semantics are not super important. Anyway, they end up in the same form and they become friends, and then after a little while they kind of realize that they're more than friends. But Charlie is out and Nick isn't. So I enjoyed the second volume even more than the first. I ended up giving it a 4.5 out of 5 stars, maybe a 5. I kind of just reserved 5 stars for my favorite books of all time, so I'm not sure if it's quite a 5 because I don't really see myself rereading Heartstopper probably, but I am really enjoying my time reading it. It's so fun. It's really cute. I will say that the 3rd volume, which I read in August, so I'll be talking about it in August, the 3rd volume is a little bit darker than the 1st and 2nd volume, so it's not just entirely light and fluffy and fun. It's just being hugged. It's like so nice, and these characters, I just care about them so much. I just want them to be happy. So yeah, it's a fun time. But yeah, I hate to just add to the hype because I know everyone loves the series and talks about it, but it is really fun and it's really cute. So if it sounds at all interesting to you, check it out. So next, I started a reread of one of my old favorite series. I don't even know if it's a favorite, but it's just like so funny. But I read the first 3 books of the series in July, so I'm going to talk about them all right now because I might as well. So that series is the Confessions of Georgia Nicholson series by Louise Frenison. So I read the first book, Angus, Thongs, and Full-Frontal Snogging. The second book, It's Okay, I'm Wearing Really Big Knickers. And the third book, Knocked Out by My Nunga Nungas. I know that these covers don't match and it's kind of annoying, but it's fine. It's whatever. If you don't know what the Confessions of Georgia Nicholson series is about, it basically follows our main character, Georgia Nicholson, and she is like 14 years old and she's kind of just discovering like boys and stuff, and she has a crush on this guy and she's kind of like obsessed with him. It's just her funny adventures, kind of coming of age, I guess, and starting to date boys, and just the like hijinks that she and her friends get up to. She also has a younger sister who is just the weirdest little girl, and she has this cat called Angus who is just like a little bit crazy, and it's so funny. These books are actually hilarious. Georgia is one of the funniest narrators I've ever read from before. There really is not that much stuff on the page, so it reads super quickly. I will say that these books are a little bit problematic because they were written in the 90s and early 2000s, so there's quite a bit of like homophobia towards lesbians in this series. It's not great in that regard, but if you kind of ignore it and just laugh at all of the actually funny stuff and ignore the problematic stuff, they are hilarious. But because they are a little bit dated, I have knocked down my rating a little bit from when I first read them. So I ended up giving the first book a 4 out of 5 stars. I gave the second book 3.5 out of 5 stars, and I gave the third book 4 stars. But yeah, these are definitely really funny, and I love like the nostalgia that I get reading them because I read these in 2015 for the first time, and I just remember like I used to take them with me to babysitting and the kids would be asleep and I would literally get through like 2 books in one evening because they're just so quick to read, and yeah, I would just be having like a great time. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend these because they are really dated, but they are super fun at the same time. So I wouldn't recommend them necessarily unless you read these years ago and you want the nostalgia. I am continuing on with this series. It's a 10-book series, but they're all, as I said, so tiny that it like doesn't take that long to get through them. I just realized I haven't been going over the challenges for the Tarot Readathon. So Heartstopper Volume 2 completed the challenge of Ace of Pentacles, read a book with a 1-word title. And since the title is technically Heartstopper, I thought that counted, even though it is like Heartstopper Volume 2, but if it's just Heartstopper, I think it fits. And then the next challenge was 2 of Swords, read a book featuring multiple POVs. And for that one, I reread This Savage Song by V. Schwab because this is told from 2 perspectives. So This Savage Song is the first book in the Monster Severity duology, which is kind of a young adult paranormal, maybe like a bit dystopian series, which is basically set in this world where monsters exist. There are 3 different types of monsters who are created by different things. So basically you have your Corsi, who are created when murders happen. So if someone gets murdered, a Corsi will appear in the world, and Corsi, like, I think are kind of like vampires in a way. They like drink blood, or maybe they like eat people. I don't know. The Corsi, they're pretty freaking evil. You don't want to be around them. And then you also have your Malkai, who are created by non-lethal acts. They're also evil and you don't want to be around them. They like to hurt people. And then you have your Sunai, who are created from situations where many people died at one time. So like mass shootings and things like that. So definitely trigger warnings for all of those things in this book. But it follows our 2 main characters, Kate and August. My face, I'm editing, so I look like crap trash. But I just wanted to explain this better because I did a terrible job. So Kate is the daughter of Harker, who runs the north side of the city, I think, and he's kind of in control of it. He's in control of the monsters. He's very feared, and so Kate is trying to be more monstrous to prove herself to her dad that she can take over at some point and be like a strong, feared leader. Anyway, on the opposite side, you have August, who is the adoptive son of Henry Flynn, who runs the south side of the city. I think it's the south side. Anyway, and Flynn basically has a task force trying to fight against Harker's monsters, and so all August wants is to be a human. Obviously he isn't, he's a Sunai. August also wants to fight in his dad's task force, but his dad keeps on being like, no, but he eventually sends August on this mission to go to the same school as Kate, and obviously their paths cross there. Anyway, but their paths cross, and it kind of comes down to them to maintain this truce that is going on between the Harkers and the Flynns, and chaos ensues. And I really enjoyed this book. I do think it was a little bit slow to begin with, even though it literally starts with Kate burning down a church. So it starts off like you'd think that it would be great, but I don't know why this book just kind of took me a little while to get into this time around. This used to be one of my favorite series of all time, and it honestly might still be, because once I got a little ways of the way through, I did enjoy my time reading it a lot. And it's one of those things where for some reason I didn't want to pick it up, but every time I did, I would read it super quickly and get really sucked in. So yeah, I don't know. I ended up giving this book a 4.5 out of 5 stars upon reread, so obviously I still really enjoyed it. I do love August though. August is just like one of my favorite characters that I've read in a long time. He's just like the sweetest, and I really enjoy his character. I don't like Kate as much, and I think maybe that's why I didn't love this book. I'm definitely planning to reread the sequel at some point very soon, probably in August actually. It's not on my August TBR, but that's why I have a very small August TBR, so that I can read things that I want to read as well. And the final book that I read in August was The X Talk by Rachel Lynn Solomon. I listened to the audiobook of this, and this was to complete the challenge of 9 of Cups, read a 5-star prediction. So if you don't know what this book is about, this is an adult romance following our 2 main characters, Shay and Dominic, who both work in a radio station. Shay is a producer on a show, and Dominic is, I think, kind of like a new intern, or no, he's like just finished his internship and works in kind of like the news, but the radio station isn't doing too well, so they're trying to come up with new shows to kind of like liven up, revive the station a little bit. And one day in a meeting, Shay comes up with this idea to have this radio show where it's 2 exes who give out relationship advice and talk about like what went wrong. And so Shay really doesn't like Dominic because he's like the new young hotshot, and he's kind of getting better treatment than she did, even though she's been there for 10 years and he's literally been there for like 6 months. So she really doesn't like Dominic, but they are the ones who are chosen to do this X Talk. So they have to pretend to be exes. It's kind of like fake dating, because they pretended that they did date, but now they're exes. But then whilst doing the X Talk, they start to have feelings for each other. And this book was just really fun. I will say that I think the audiobook was not good. Like, I did not like the narrator at all. I ended up actually listening to it on like 2.5 or 2.7 times speed. Like, it was pretty fast, because I normally listen to audiobooks on like 2, sometimes even 1.5 times speed. Like, I don't like to listen to them super fast, but for this one, her voice just annoyed me so much that I was like, I want to know the story, but I want to get through this quickly. But yeah, so I would not recommend the audiobook, but this book was still super fun. It was really cute. I really enjoyed my time reading it, and honestly, I think if I had read it physically, this would be a new favorite, but because it was the audiobook, I couldn't quite give it 5 stars. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. So yeah, this is definitely one that I would like to get a physical copy and read it physically, because that audiobook was just so bad. Like, the narrator, she just sounded out of like so breathless all the time, and it was really freaking annoying. I was like, why? Anyway, it's fine. It was fine in the end. It just took me a really long time to get used to her annoying voice. So those were the 7 books that I read in July, and now let's quickly go over my TBR for August. So as I said, I'm planning to take part in a readathon this month. I'm going to be taking part in the Enneagram Readathon, which is running from the 1st to the 14th of August. So it's already underway. That's fine, because I'm already reading stuff for it. But basically, if you don't know what the Enneagrams are, it's basically like a personality type thing, kind of like Myers-Briggs, but a bit different. I think it's better than Myers-Briggs. I just resonate more with my type than I do with my Myers-Briggs type. Basically, you can read for your Enneagram type, or you could read just if you liked the prompts of one more than your actual Enneagram, then you could do that instead. I'm reading for my Enneagram because I'm a type 6, and I'm the most type 6 out there. Like, I did the quiz a couple months ago because I wanted to know what my Enneagram was. I honestly didn't even need to do the test, because reading the description of a type 6, I was like, oh, that's me. Anyway, so I'm gonna be reading for type 6. So there are 3 challenges and 1 buddy read, and then you can also do buddy reads for the other types if you'd like. And it's another point-based readathon like the Tarot Readathon, but you have to read the books for your team first before you can read for other teams. So I'm trying to get through the ones for type 6 first, although I might struggle with one of the books, but we'll get there when we get there. The first challenge is to read a book that has been on your TBR forever. And for that one, I'm going to be reading The Shadow of the Wind by Tarot Readathon. I was supposed to read this book for a readathon back in April, and I started it. I got 28 pages in, so not very far. I'm gonna restart it. And I just kind of ran out of time for that readathon, and then I was taking part in a different one, and then now it's August, and I need to read this book. It's been on my TBR since 2017, which is a really long time. It's also historical fiction, which is a genre that I really enjoy. I just don't read it very often, so I really want to get to this one. I've also heard that kind of like the first half is a bit slow, but then you hit the halfway point and it just races by. This is one that I really need to get to this month, so I'm glad that I can put this on my TBR. The next challenge is to read a book with mental health rep, and for that one I'm reading Heartstopper Volume 3 by Alice Oseman. I actually did already read this. I read this on the 1st of August, I think, just all in one day because it's just that quick of a read. But this has mentions of self-harm and eating disorders, so trigger warning for that. But yeah, I already read this and loved it. The next challenge is to read a book by an author that you love. I'm going for Dancing in My Nutty Pants by Louise Renison. As I already mentioned, I'm really enjoying rereading these books, even though they're trash, but they're so fun. So yes, I'm continuing on with my reread of this series. It's so fun, so much fun. That's what I'm reading for that one. And then the final challenge for type 6 is the buddy read, and for the buddy read it is Firekeeper's Daughter from the author, which I think is like a fantasy and a thriller at the same time. I can't remember, but I think that this one was chosen for the type 6 buddy read because it has themes of like loyalty in it, I think, which type 6s are like super loyal. We're very loyal, we're very reliable and practical. That's me. I'm really excited to read this. This was actually one that I recently made a list of books that I'm dying to read. It's for a video that I plan to make, but also like a list to just remind me like these are some books that you're super interested in that you keep on forgetting about. So yeah, I've made that list and this was on there, so I'm really excited to hopefully read this one. But this is the one that I might not be able to get to because I have it on hold for my library, but I'm second in the queue, so it just depends how quickly everyone else reads it. But even if I don't read it for the Enneagram Readathon, I'm still hoping to read it this month, as long as my library comes through. And then I'm also hoping to, if I read all of those ones, read the buddy read for type 9, which is Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney, because I already got the ebook of this from the library because I was like really excited to read it, and I had completely forgotten that this was a buddy read for type 9. So hopefully I read all the other books and then I can read this one too. But either way, I'm hoping to read it in August. Those are all the books that I'm planning to read for the Enneagram Readathon, and then I have 4 books here which I just want to get to in the month, hopefully. So first of all, I have Blackout by Danielle Clayton, Tiffany G. Jackson, Nick Stone, Ashley Woodfolk, Angie Thomas, and Nicola Yoon. This is like a collection of short stories which I think do intertwine. It just takes place over the course of one night when there is a blackout in New York City. And I borrowed this from my friend Evie because she recently read it and really enjoyed it. So she lent this to me. So I would really like to get to this one very soon so that I can get it back to her. I also am currently reading The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V. Schwab. I started this one during the Tarot Readathon and I just haven't finished it yet. I have less than 200 pages to go now, and I would really like to get this done soon because I've already been reading it for like 2 weeks. So yeah, I'm hoping to get this one done very soon. And then I have 2 more books that I got from the library which I'm hoping to read this month. The first one is Big Magic: Creative Living Beyond Fear by Elizabeth Gilbert. I've heard Katie from Kate's Book Date recommend this book so many times. It's basically just like a little nonfiction book about creativity, and it even says whether we are looking to write a book, make art, find new ways to address challenges in our work, embark on a dream long deferred, or simply infuse our everyday lives with more mindfulness and passion, Big Magic cracks open a world of wonder and joy. I don't know, it just sounds like something that would be up my alley. And yeah, I definitely feel like I've been in a bit of a rut for like the past 8 months. So yeah, maybe this will help me get out of that. And the final book from the library is this absolute chunker of a book, The Rose Code by Kate Quinn. I went to my library the other day and this was there and I was like, you know who I've heard raving about that? Noelle from Noelle 7 Pages, who I trust wholeheartedly. And this is a nonfiction book set during World War II, which I really enjoy. Nonfiction? No. Did I say nonfiction? I meant historical fiction. I really enjoy historical fiction, especially books that are set during World War II. I've just enjoyed a lot of the ones that I've read that have been set during that period of time. It's kind of like a thriller or mystery set around that time, and the 3 women are like code breakers, which is just really freaking cool. So yeah, I'm dying to read this one. I've been meaning to read a Kate Quinn book for ages, and this is actually her newest release. So yeah, I'm really very excited to get to this one very, very soon. So these are all of the books that I'm planning to read in August. It's a bit of a hefty stack, actually. Yeah, and that's not even including The Firekeeper's Daughter. I didn't realize how big this was until I'm now holding it, and now I'm scared, but it's fine. It's all fine. It's great. It's fine. Those are all of the books that I read in July and all of the books that I'm planning to read in August. Please let me know what books you read in July. If you've read any of the ones I've mentioned, let me know your thoughts. I would love to know. But that's all that I have for this video. My voice hurts from talking so much, so I'm gonna go take a break from filming. I'll be back though because I'm pre-filming, but it's fine. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe down below. And I don't know when I'm uploading videos because I only just came back to BookTube, but let me tell you, it feels so good to be back. So I'll probably have another video up in like a week. So I'll see you whenever that is. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, if you made it to the end, leave me a rose emoji because of the rose code. Thanks so much for watching. Bye. Oh wait, that's not even how I'd say goodbye. Bye. Oh.